Recording.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for getting on the call. Today is Sunday, August the 23rd. Welcome to our Team Believe call. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Gabby Lopez. She is our very own Levo Legacy 3-star diamond coach. She's been a coach for 17 months. And get this, guys, every single month that she's been a coach, she hit Success Club 10 or higher. So that makes her a Success Club All-Star. Is that right?
That's right.
All-Star, fantastic. She's also a stay-at-home mom of a 2-year-old boy. So today she's going to answer some of your questions and tell you a little bit more about her story so that you guys can see how a successful woman makes this happen despite having a life just the way we all do. So with that, Gabby, take it away and dazzle us with your amazing life story.
No, first I want to thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of your team call tonight. I am humbled because despite you thinking that I have it all together, I don't. And you'll see why. I'm just, just a girl from the Bronx, like Sari said, just a girl from Queens, right? But no, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about my story just so that you guys get to know me a little bit more. And then I'll answer all of your questions that you had for me at the end. And then obviously in between, if I'm missing something, please stop me and ask away. So prior to becoming a Team Beachbody coach, I was in the nonprofit field. I always knew that I wanted to help people. So once I graduated from college, I worked with youth and then young kids. They were 13 to like 21. I was only 22. So as you can imagine, that was a tough population for me because I was also a youth myself. And then after that, I worked with incarcerated inmates who had psychiatric conditions. And my job was to connect them back into society to make them successful in all the areas of their lives. So I always had a passion to help others. So Beachbody, to me was a blessing because that's what we do. We help other people. We make an impact in people's lives. But then I was bringing home all the problems from my inmates. And I wanted to change the world. And I would really take it really personal when they would, either relapse because a lot of them were substance abusers or, get back into jail. And I just felt like I was failing them and I was bringing all these problems home. And I just knew that I had to take a break from it. I didn't know whether it was going to be a permanent change, but I had to step away because I, was dreaming about their issues. I was like, in the shower thinking about them, on the train. It was just taking over my life. So I resigned after being there for 5 years. And then I kind of fell into HR. And I was like, oh, I like this. I still get to help people. Little did I know that that's not true. HR is really looking after the company. So we always have the best interest of the company despite what, we tell our employees, which is horrible. So I've always had a really high work ethic. So I would always work crazy hours. Even when I wasn't asked to, I made sure that my work was done. I made sure that I was bending over backwards, that, I'm just very particular with everything that I do and very detail oriented, a perfectionist at heart. And I just wanted to make sure that, I would cover all my angles and that whatever I was doing it to my fullest potential. My husband at the time, he was my fiance, he would say to me, Gab, like, your day finishes at 5:30. That's when you should come home. You should come home and then tomorrow you repeat it again. And I would be like, you don't get it. I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to process that. And he's like, no one's dying if you don't do that today and you do it tomorrow. And he was right. He said, "You are replaceable." And so I didn't see it coming. And one of my first jobs in the HR field, I was laid off, and it was a shock. And I was infuriated. I was mad. I was hurt. I was everything you can imagine, because I thought that I had given my all to this company, and in seconds they like shattered my whole life. Um, it was a blessing in disguise. I was getting married a few months after that. So Jorge said at the time, just focus on planning the rest of the wedding and then get a job after that. So that's what I did. And I, I thought that I had learned my lesson, but I didn't. Went back to work. And this time it was the other way around. Now the tables had turned. I was actually a human resource generalist. And as a generalist, you do a little bit of everything. You do orientations, you do trainings, you do hiring, you do firing. And I did a lot of that. We basically laid off hundreds and hundreds of people. I was actually being, flown away to like different states to, is that the word? to fire people. So that movie Up in the Air, that was me. I was literally, being sent to other states to fire people. And it was like the worst. Just knowing that you were, now shattering someone else's life, and that's not what I had for. So basically, I did a lot of that firing, and every time I did it, I felt horrible. And every time I did it, I felt nervous because I knew that I was, ending someone's livelihood. And so after that, I decided that, after hundreds and hundreds of layoffs, again, I worked my ass off, and I was coming home really late, and Jorge was like, what happened to working 9 to 6 or whatever, 9 to 5? And I'm like, oh, I'm working for this promotion and this and that. And, my manager promised that if I did this, that, and the other, and I totally fell for it. And he's like, all right, Gab, don't be disappointed. And sure enough, the year went up, and, they did the review, and they came up with, oh, the company didn't do that well this year, so there's no budget, money in the budget for raises and for promotion, like a whole big story. And I felt like an idiot. I felt like, wow, like, how do people do that? Like, how do they, promise, and they don't deliver? So that's when I had gotten pregnant. So I said, I'm going to write it out. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to leave, because I was mad because I had, again, worked my ass off. And I decided that I was going to stay until I gave birth, because I knew that I wasn't going to come back. They didn't know that, though. So I, went on maternity leave. And of course, once I was on maternity leave, they had the money in the budget that they needed a year before to give me the promotion. So my boss actually lives about, I should say my former boss lives about 2 blocks from where I live. And I walked myself there, and I told her I wasn't coming back to work, because she had been insinuating that they were going to promote me. And I just wanted her to know that I wasn't coming back. And, then we had that talk, and she was like, oh, we had this great promotion. So to say the least, I turned down a promotion with a salary increase, because I knew I wanted to be home with my son, who is now 2. And I don't regret it. Is it a lot of work? Yes. It is. I don't know if it's more than a full-time job, but it is a lot of work. I know that many of you are mommies on this call and can relate. So basically, after I was home with Matias for 8 months, I decided that I needed, while I was pregnant, I should say, that we started to be more conscious of our nutrition, more, more healthy, or trying to be, whatever we thought that was. And about 8 months into him being here, I wanted to lose an extra 10 pounds. I had a C-section and I wasn't happy with my body. I've never been into fitness. I've never been an outdoorsy or kind of sports kind of person, but I was like, I'm going to reach out to, actually, I had met Asia, which is my sponsoring coach, through being pregnant, because she, as many of you know, she is a photographer. So she was my maternity photographer, and she was my newborn, Matthias's newborn shoot photographer. And so I started to follow her on Facebook because of her pictures. And then I started to see all these challenge group things. And I was like, what is that? What is she talking about? And then one day I saw her transformation, and I had met her. I had seen so many infomercials, and I thought, oh, those are fake. How do people lose weight in 25 minutes? That's impossible. And I would look at Jorge and be like, it's 25 minutes. We should do it. He's like, no, it's not true. So then we never went ahead and did it on our own. And then when I saw her transformation and I knew who she was and I knew what she looked like before, I reached out. She sent me a really long email that I read from the very beginning to the end, and I signed up immediately. I signed up as a challenger. I fell in love with the challenge aspect. And I was seeing results, in like 3-4 weeks. But I think it was like week 2, Jorge decided that he was going to join, and he was doing T25 with me, and he was drinking my Shakeology. And I was like, oh, hell no. So we needed an extra bag of Shakeology. So I had posted in the group, I'm going to get, another bag of Shakeology. What flavor do you guys recommend? So she basically hit me up on the side and was like, do you want to save 25%? And I was like, hell yeah. This is a girl who carries around a Ziploc, I'm not lying, with a bunch of coupons. 50 cents goes a long way. So I was like, 25%, where do I sign up? I didn't question the Social Security. I didn't question anything. I signed up, and I knew I was going to save, what was it, like $15 for me and like 33 for Jorge. So I was like, I am sold. And then, as I said, I was a stay-at-home mom, so I needed adult interaction. I was dying. I was with my son, and it was hard because I had always worked. I've been working since I was 13 years old. And I was like, I felt like I needed to do something else. So I was like, I like this challenge group thing, and I think I can do that. So Asia, her passion is photography. She loves Beachbody. She loves her challenge group. She loves her challengers. But her passion is photography, and she was new in the coaching world. I think she had been a coach maybe, 3 months herself. So when I signed up, she had no idea that I was interested in the business opportunity of things. And I decided that I was going to put a call to action out. No idea what that was. I was like, let me see what she's doing. I can do that. Posted. I had an influx of, messages, texts, private messages. And I was like, holy crap, what do I do now? I had no idea. And I was like, there's something behind this business. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to figure it out. And so I went to Team Beachbody. And then I went to the Coach Online office just by playing around. I just kind of landed there. And I started where it says start here. There's a message from Carl Deichler. And then it really walks you through the entire back office. And I signed up for direct deposit. I mean, I did everything without knowing what I was doing, basically. So I ran my own challenge group. I started with T25 because that's what I signed up with. And, I didn't know, like I said, what I was doing, but I liked her style in coaching challengers. So I kind of mirrored that. And then I also found the back office and figured out the group guides in the back office. And I kind of took it from there. And then my first month as a coach, or I should say my first week as a coach, when I signed up all these people, my first check was $332. And I remember getting my check my direct deposit and thinking, oh, I had no idea I can make all this money. I was just a stay-at-home mom, and I said, I can help pay for the products. So I told Jorge, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that I get back our money, our investment in T25, and I'm going to make sure that I'm paying for our Shakeology moving forward. And I love the challenge group aspect, like I said, so I just went with it. And then once I started to receive, more money, I was like, oh my God, like you could really make an earning. And then Audrey reached out to me because that first month, so I signed up March 31st of 2014. And then in April, I hit Success Club 25. I didn't know what Success Club was, but Audrey reached out to me and she was like, hey, she introduced herself to me. She's like, I know Asi's a young coach too. She's new. So I wanted to just, introduce myself and let you know I'm here if you need anything. She probably regretted that. I am an emerald at heart, so I had a ton of questions, but she directed me in the right path. And whenever I had a question, she would say, look here, look there. So that was awesome. She then said to me, why don't you go to, I want to meet you. She said, why don't you go to this Team Eagle training that's being hosted by Mickey and Saudi. And at that time, I had no idea who they were. All I know is that I was being, that I was getting all these notifications from Team Eagle, and like Lead Well Legacy wasn't called Lead Well Legacy at the time. It was the business pages and Luminous Nation. And I was confused. I was like, it's overwhelming. As a new coach, it is overwhelming, but it gets better after month 3. So if you're a new coach, just know that. And then I went to the training not knowing, what I really was going to meet Audrey, to be honest with you guys. And that day she reached out to me and something came up and she couldn't go. And I'm an introvert at heart. And when she said that to me, I was like, what? I'm like, there's no way I'm going to this training not knowing anyone. I won't be able to talk to anyone. Like, I'm that person. And she said, but I still want you to go. And I was like, you know what? I was going to go anyway. So I told my husband, I'm going to go. I took the train. I took the Metro North. I hadn't been out anyway. So to me, it was an excursion. I was like, ooh, I'm in the city. Woohoo. So I went and it was, I think, the best training. I mean, obviously we go through all these different trainings, but to me, it was an eye opener to the opportunity with Beachbody. They went through, they introduced themselves and they told their own stories. But the story that really captivated me was Saudi's story. And then I knew the potential of this business. And I said, holy crap, like I am sitting on a gold mine and I had no idea. So I left that Thursday. It was a Thursday from that training. And I said, and I had a bunch of challengers. I had no idea how to convert people to coaches or to, discount coaches. I just knew that I was doing challenge groups. So I went to that training. I left inspired, motivated, and I knew that I can make it work for me. I can make it where I didn't have to go back to work, because the idea or the plan between my husband and I was that I was going to stay home with my son until he was 3 years old. Because I recall that one of my youngest nieces, when she was 3, she was talking up a storm. And I was like, by then he's going to be straight. I can put him in a nursery. He's good to go. But then I left that meeting knowing that if I worked my ass off, I could actually be home with my son and never have to go back to work, never have to be laid off by anyone again, never have to crush someone's life the way I did, with all those layoffs. And I knew that if anything, I could inspire, a ton of people. And I knew that I could actually make a difference in people's lives instead of, ruining lives the way I was with HR. So I came home that Thursday and I said to Audrey, by Sunday, I will have 2 coaches. And that I did. I made sure my husband was already receiving Shakeology. I had 2 Shakeologies under my account. So I decided that I was going to sign him up as a coach and sign up my brother, who was also doing T25, and he was receiving Shakeology. And so I called him up and I said, "You like Shakeology?" He's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Give me your social." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna sign you up to be a coach." And he's like, "Whatever you do, I trust you." And I'm like, "Bet." I made an investment, guys. I was paying my husband's fee and I was paying my brother's fees. But by that next Thursday, I was an Emerald coach. I know what I was doing, like I said, but I said I was going to be an Emerald coach. 5 weeks after I became an Emerald coach, I was a Diamond coach because I went in. I invited everyone that was in my challenge groups to be a discount coach because that's all I knew. I didn't know how to present the coaching opportunity, but I worked with what I knew and I worked with what I had, and that's what I did. And the majority of my coaches signed up because they were doing T25. They loved what, the workouts. They loved the meal plan. They loved, the results that they were seeing thus far, and they loved Shakeology. So it was easy to do that transfer, I guess, from challenger to a coach. So then 5 weeks later, I was a Diamond coach. So then I was invited to participate in this 4-week Diamond training with corporate. And I was so excited. I was like, yay, I'm just growing. So I get on the call. It was on Wednesdays. I remember clearly. And I was crushed. All the diamonds on that call were talking about they had just had a team call the night before, or they had this, they were just working with their coach here, coach there. And I was like, OMG, I have not one working coach. And at that point, it was, I had to make a decision. I had to decide whether I was going to continue. I could have said to myself, I'm not good at this. I'm obviously doing something wrong. I have not one person under me working. Or I can, go ahead and continue doing what I was doing. And I said, you know what? Who cares? I don't have a working coach, but I will. And I just kept doing what I knew how to do, which was I focused on my challenge groups. I focused on working on myself. I focused on, continuing to work out. I was still a challenger myself, throughout this whole process. So I continued to work out. I continued to drink my Shakeology. I continued to share on social media. Was I an expert? No, I'm not even an expert now on social media. I think I still suck. But I was just being me. I was being honest with my journey. I was, being genuine, and I was just being myself. So I decided to pour myself into my challenge groups because I started to listen to the national wake-up calls, because Audrey was like, listen to the national wake-up calls. These are the team calls. If you can jump on, I recommend that you do. And I was like, all right. So I decided to plug in, right? That's what we call plugging in. And I started to hear all these top coaches talk about, just working on yourself and working on your mind and being proof the product works and making sure that you're sharing. And I said, that's easy. And then being consistent and making sure that you were inspiring people so that, people want to do what you're doing. So that's what I did. I focus on my 3 vital behaviors. I focus on my challengers. And then I, was in my heart, I knew that one person was going to be inspired to, want to run this business with me. And I knew that, it was going to happen like the compound effect says. And I just kept doing. I didn't get discouraged. Had I gotten discouraged, I wouldn't be here tonight with you guys talking to you about my story. So I continued to do that. And I remember my first coach who said to me, I think I'm ready to work this business. Like, I think I can be a coach. And I was so freaking ecstatic. I was like, yes, we are going to build an empire. She's no longer my coach. But I had a working coach for a little bit. And then my sister joined to be a coach. And then little by little, time after time, I continued to do everything that I had to do, and I started to build my team. And so, I urge you that sometimes it seems like things are not going your way and that you're doing everything in your power to inspire or to motivate or to build a team, and you just want to throw in the towel because you don't have one person that's working this business with you. But trust me when I tell you, it happens. It's it's like the top coaches say, you get all these no's, 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 but they come around. But because I believe in this business, you have to have, a huge belief in this business and trust not only the business, but yourself, and trust the process, and make sure that you know that if your why is powerful enough, you're going to find the how you're going to get there. So just make sure that you see the bigger picture, that you don't focus on just right here, but make sure that you're doing everything in the middle to get to this place right here. So let me tell you a little bit about how I spent my time before I became, before I had a team of working coaches. So first, like I said, I focused on myself because that's what you do, right? They show you. I'm sure Al has said this to you many times, that once you get to diamond, you now got to turn around and focus on your team. But I didn't really have a working team at the time, so I had to continue working on myself, and that's what I did. I focused on areas that I was good at, but I also focused on areas that I was not good at, like PD. I did PD in many different ways. I don't like to read. Don't repeat that. But I found a way around that. I started to listen to audio. I started to watch videos from top coaches. I started to plug into the National Wake Up Call, non-negotiable. I started to plug into the team calls. And if I couldn't make it, I would listen to the recording, because I knew that there was nuggets in all of those calls or videos that I needed to grow my business. And I made it my business to listen to those calls. So my time was spent on plugging in, on working on myself, sharing on Facebook and Instagram, and also inviting to my challenge groups until I started getting comfortable with sharing the opportunity. Then when I started to have one person, I created what I call today my team page. So if you have one person under you who's interested in working this business with you, I'm not saying disconnect from Al's page, because you always have to maintain, or stay rooted from your team. But you also have to make sure that you are forming your own culture with your team. So even if you have one person, you are a leader, and you should definitely start, whether it is a team page or a team chat, whatever works for you, until you maybe do a chat first and then jump onto the page, whatever works. And so once I had my team, I started to try to create my own culture, what I thought was appropriate for me. I never had, like I mentioned, I never had someone to mirror as a leader. So I never even led a team before. So I did the best that I could. I did the best that I thought was right. So I really was basing it on my gut feeling. Did I make mistakes? Hell yeah. Am I still making mistakes? Absolutely. But I don't give up, because my why is powerful. And I know that if I fall on my face, it's okay. And I can just get up, learn from it, and keep moving forward. One of the things that I want to mention before I move forward is that we're not perfect. I'm sure that Al has fallen on his face a million times since he's been a coach. And when he tells you, don't do it this way, it's because he's been down that road and it leads to nothing. And so he wants to save you time to not go through those, doors or that road and go this way, because he's found a better way that works. So try to listen to what he's saying, because I know that he has your best interest at heart. And I know that when he's telling you, it's because he's gone through that door and he had to turn around and find a better way. So don't waste time going through a place, that's not going to work. Sometimes we are a little stubborn, so we have to learn on our own, and you have to fall on your face. That's fine. But when he is telling you, trust that he's tried it and it hasn't worked. The other thing that I want to mention is, once I had the team, I heard from different calls and, now working from corporate, that you have to now your time has to be reshifted. So instead of now focusing on yourself and your challengers, now you have to pay attention to your coaches, right? But you still have to do it in a way that you're not affecting your personal business. So make sure that your 80% is still recruiting challengers and coaches, and 20% is your team. I did it the other way around. And do I regret it? No, because it was a learning experience. Am I changing it? Yes. So make sure that, you are working your business where you're not affecting your personal growth as a leader, and you're not affecting your business as well. Always focusing, obviously, on your challengers, because those are your future coaches. All right. Another thing I want to talk about is time management. So I mentioned, going from nonprofit to human resources, where, I'm like 9 to not even 5. I was there till like 10 o'clock sometimes. And then a stay-at-home mom. So time management for me, honestly, has been a struggle. And you know how they say the struggle is real. I mean, I have a 2-year-old who is running around, who wants my attention. And have I been organized before? Yeah, but why can't I get it together at home? So I know the struggles that many of you ladies are having, because, you have full-time jobs, because you have babies or kids, school age, that you have to come home and cook and do homework with. But you can make it work. You just have to be more structured with your time, and you have to make it work where, you are comfortable with it. So I'm going to just share really quickly a story about Scotty Hobbs. I always talk about him because I really admire his success story. And, that you have to make sacrifices so that in the future you can benefit from all those sacrifices. So number one, you have to set your goals, right? Whatever those are, whether it's paying one bill, whether it's, paying your mortgage, whether it's retiring your spouse or yourself, whatever that goal is, you have to write it down. It has to be written. And then once you've, have it written down, now you have to reverse engineer. And that means that you need to figure out what's going to get you to that goal. How many challenge packs do you need to sell? How many, whether that's hitting Success Club 5 or 10, and making sure that those things are non-negotiable for you. How many people do you need to invite? How many no's do you need to, confront so that you can get that yes? So he said that he wanted to retire his wife. He said, $10,000, that's all I need. And so Lindsay was straight up and said, that's what you need? Then you're going to have to hit no minimum the Success Club 10 every month. And he said, all right, I'm going into town. And that's what he did. He made sure that he was waking up 1 hour early, that he was going to sleep 1 hour late, but he also made sure that he wasn't touching his family time, because he knew that if he did, that they were going to be resentful. His kids needed him there because, told you Matias just found me. Hi, Papi. Sorry. So basically, all right, Papi. So basically, he made sure that he made sure that he did whatever he needed to do in order to make those goals come a reality. So he sacrificed the sleep, and he sacrificed his lunch hour, instead of maybe hanging out or taking a nap. He would, because he was exhausted, he would work the business. He would invite, he would, do PD or have a conversation with a prospect, whatever it took. So my point to you is that whatever you need to do around your busy life, I'm pretty sure that there's lots in there that you are not utilizing them accordingly. So like if you're taking the train, for example, or driving into work, maybe do your personal development during that time so that you're not wasting that time by listening to, I don't know, the radio or something. So make sure you're, looking at the entire day and analyzing where you have pockets of opportunity to move your business forward. All right. Let's see what else. All right. So I'm just going to give you a couple of pointers, and then I can go into answering some of the questions you guys had. So I mentioned setting goals is important, making sure that, those are concrete. And guys, when you set goals, it's okay to set scary, hairy goals, but make sure that, from here to that scary goal, you have small goals in between. Because as you start to accomplish those little goals and reach those little goals, you're going to feel motivated to keep going because you're crushing goals while you're reaching the bigger ones. Be forgiving of yourself. And I don't mean make excuses for yourself. I mean, if you are struggling with something and it's just not coming out the way you want to, try it a different way, because that's what is that? The definition of insanity, right? Trying to find a solution to something the same way, repeating the same stuff over and over again. Don't do that to yourself. Just try a different angle, and it's okay to make mistakes, because those are pockets of opportunity for growth. So make sure that, you continue to forgive your way in that way, because you can continue to grow in making mistakes. So I have to remind myself, or allow others to remind me, like success partners or significant others, so your spouses, that you're human and that it's okay to make those mistakes, because we're not perfect. And those are the mistakes that are going to allow you to grow in this business. Make sure your why is strong. Make sure your why is, I'm sure you heard this before, that your why should make you cry. And mine does. I know mine, when I think about it, I've only been in this business almost 17 months at the end of this month. And when I'm an overachiever, so I feel that, I can be farther along in this business, and not being somewhere makes me cry, because I know that not reaching certain goals is keeping me from my why, my reason, my accomplishing what I want for my family. So make sure that, if you don't know what that why is, talk to your upline coach, write it down, pray about it. And I think that, you're going to come to what that is. Let's see. Believe in yourself. As I mentioned, you want to believe in this business. That's number one. You want to believe in these products, because if you don't, then people are going to sense that. That's number one. I think that if you're all in this business, is because you believe in Beachbody, because you believe that it works, because you believe in Shakeology. And I think that that the potential of this business is huge. So make sure that that you also not only believe in Beachbody, but that you have full belief in yourself, that you can do anything you set your mind to do. And that's why I said big goals, but then in between little goals, so that you can crush them. And as you're doing that, you're going to continue to believe in yourself more. But if you're struggling with belief, do more personal development. And I know you're like, oh, trust me, whether that's, looking for videos that are, that talk about believing in yourself, or reading books that talk about believing in yourself, whatever it is, I'm sure that Al can point you in the right direction of opportunities where you can get that information from. Be consistent and persistent. Don't show up to your business today and then again on Wednesday and then again on Thursday and then maybe Sunday again, because it's I always tell my coaches this analogy: you want coffee, you go to Starbucks, or you bump into a Dunkin' Donut, you go in there because they sell coffee. But then you go in there and they say they're out of coffee. You're going to be like, what? These people are crazy, right? That's going to be your reaction. So if you show up today and then there was someone who was going to contact you tomorrow and they didn't see you tomorrow, but they saw another coach, guess who they're going to? That coach. So you have to be consistent, because people want to work with people who they know they can count on a daily basis, that you're going to be there, that you're reachable, and that you don't close shop when you're having a bad day. Those are the days you should open shop. The ones that, the days that you're having a bad day. So, because you want to make sure that you're available to everyone who's following you. So be consistent, invite, and you have to be consistent with everything you're doing, with your 3 vital behaviors, with following up. Following up is crucial, because don't think that because you invited 10 people, all 10 are going to say yes. No, maybe one person out of those 10 might turn around and say, tell me more. The other ones might ignore you. The other ones might say, not me right now, and that doesn't mean that they're shutting, the door to you. No, that just means that you have to follow up again. I don't know if you've heard this, but it takes 7 to 10 follow-ups for someone to say yes. So you have to be consistent, okay? And never give up. Another thing is, have a power hour, whether that's in the morning or at night when everyone is asleep. But I don't mean have a power hour and scroll through Facebook or Instagram and like people's stuff. I know you have to do that, but if you only have 1 hour in the day, you have to utilize it accordingly, okay? That means that you have to be inviting. You have to be following up. You have to be posting. You have to be having conversations with the people who said they're interested, right? So you have to look for other opportunities to do your PD elsewhere. And you have to wake up early to maybe do your workout, right? So make sure that you're utilizing that hour specifically for inviting people, all right? And make sure that you figure out what's the best way for you to track. You have to have a tracking system, whether it's a spreadsheet, whether it's a notebook, whatever it is. Just make sure that you are tracking. And I think the last thing I want to say is that, again, if you believe in this business and you listen to maybe the top coaches, or maybe, a peer that something is working for them, or, here in Lead Well Legacy, you have so many leaders, right? And they're telling you, hey, I've tried this and this works. Just listen to them, because they're not telling you because they're bluffing or because they're pulling it out of their, behind. They're telling you because it really does work. I know that I listen to the things that, and that catch my attention. For example, how many times have you heard, if you want to be a 6-figure income in this business, you have to focus on helping people, right? Genuinely. You can't look at them as a dollar sign, but also make sure that you are hitting benchmarks, like hitting Success Club 5 or 10, But if you want to get there quicker, you better be doing 10, because 5 is not going to cut it. Will it get you there? Yeah, but it's going to take you longer. So listen to things that, make sense and put them into action, because you can't just listen and think it's going to happen on its own. You have to put stuff into action. So that's all I have. Did I cover? I have to answer some of the questions, right?
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. I love all of the information. Your story is truly inspiring. But yeah, I mean, we have a couple minutes if you want to try and, knock out some of those questions.
Yes. 1 second. Let me I have a GSR call and a few, so let me just ask her to give me 15 minutes.
Oh man, that would be amazing. I mean, I don't want to take up all of your time, but
1 sec.
yeah.
Sorry, guys.
This is all part of time management.
Right. Matias is right here.
Right. This is real life.
Yeah, I got to make it, work.
How do you separate your personal life from your business? Sometimes you don't, right? That was one of the questions. And so we are in the people business. So sometimes our personal life is our business.
Right. All right.
So it kind of meshes.
Puppy. Please, he's like literally on top of me. So sorry. All right. So let me open my questions. Do you guys have any questions while I look for the questions that Al sent me?
I have them popped up right here, so I can just ask a couple of them.
Okay. Yeah. Do that.
How do you keep your team consistent?
Okay. So to me, that one is, I think that starts with you. If you're consistent and they see that you're consistent, then they're going to be inspired to be consistent. Does it always happen? No. I mean, sometimes, some coaches are not there yet. They don't see the big picture just yet. But if you continue to show them and you continue to hit those milestones, that you continue to, show up to your business daily, hit success. If you're showing up, in the right areas of your business, you're gonna hit Success Club. And so if you're hitting Success Club, you're gonna continue to grow in this business. And as they continue to see you grow, they're gonna be inspired, because they're gonna want to also do that. They're also gonna wanna continue to grow. So they're gonna want to be doing exactly what you're doing. So maybe they'll ask you, what are you doing? And it's really basic. It's really just being consistent with the 3 vital behaviors. I know that it sounds crazy, but I promise you that's what it is. There's no secret sauce. I mean, I guess the secret sauce is you, because we all have the same opportunities. You have the same back office. You have the same products, right? And you just really have to believe in yourself that you can do it. So it's how you handle yourself, and just making sure that you are doing what you expect your coaches to do.
Right. Awesome.
So that's how I inspire mine.
I might have to start changing things up then, right? Awesome. All right. Let's see if I can kind of do a rapid fire here, because I know you're really busy. How do you allocate your time for discount coaches versus coaches who are interested in working the business? Okay.
So that one is simple. A discount coach is a challenger. Don't try to figure it out. It's a challenger. I put them in my team page, because in my team page, I put, nuggets of personal development, and they get curious. I put, information about calls, so they start to see, and if they want to jump on a call, they will. If they want to call into the National Wake Up Call and listen, and maybe they'll get inspired one time. So I treat them the same in that sense, where I put them all in my team page. But if it's a discount coach, I won't put them in Leadwell. I won't put them in Luminous Nation, because I feel like it's too much. It's too overwhelming for them, especially if they're not working the business. But if they, and then treat them as a challenger, in your challenge group. But then eventually, if they start to ask more information about the business, then you can kind of transition them into being a working coach. But in the meantime, treat them as a challenger, and don't give them more information that they need, because you don't want to push them away.
Awesome. How do you acknowledge your coaches and make sure that you're letting them know how important they are to you?
I think that all my coaches know how important they are to me. I'm I'm passionate, sometimes a little too passionate.
Okay.
So sometimes I have to bring it down a notch, but that, that was something that I had to learn with falling on my face and hard. But I basically acknowledge them all the time on my team page. So, you know, from signing up a coach to hitting, selling a first challenge pack or, hitting Success Club 2 or for whatever, the whole month I'm shouting people out. And then once they hit certain, once they hit Success Club for the month, I give them, I give them, you know, gifts. So whether it's a personal development book or whether it's like a mani for the girls, they love that, or a petty, something that your coaches are going to appreciate. So they know that, listen, at the end of the day, if you're hitting Success Club, you're winning because you're earning money. If you're Emerald coach, you're cycling, right? Because if you're signing up coaches as well, you're going to have volume. So you're already winning because you're already signing up people. You have commission. But if your upline is also recognizing you, now you're having an extra gift, and Beachbody's also sending you something on the side for hitting Success Club. So I try to acknowledge them that way when they hit a certain milestone, like certain rank advancements, just so that they know that they're important to me and that I know they worked really, really hard to get to that place.
Awesome. All right. So I think this answer is based on that person's goals, but how much time should you put into the business every day when you have kids and a full-time job, and like how do you allocate how much time goes to each of those things?
Okay. So basically with that, it definitely is based on your goals. So you have to be real with yourself and know that, whatever your goals are, you have to say, I want to do this. So like, for example, for me, I know that my goal, not only is it that my team grows so that they can meet their goals, but my personal goal is also to retire my husband, because I love the happiness on my son's face when he takes him to the park. I take him to the park and he's happy, but like when dad takes him to the park, it's like a whole different level. So I want to be able to do that for my son, to have access to his father, whenever, 24/7. So hitting Success Club 5 going to get me there? I'm sure, but it's going to take me a long time. So I got to move basically my ass to make sure that I bring him home quicker. So I have to make sure that, I know an hour is not going to cut it, but will it get you close to your goals? Absolutely. So I think that if your life is busy, I think that maybe managing your schedule on a calendar is important. There is a time management video by Amy Silverman. I'll send it to Al so that you can share with your team. And basically that it's like a 10-minute video is really helpful. Yeah, please. So it's very helpful because she really goes into, you have to schedule everything in your life. So if you're a busy person, you're a busy mom, you have full-time job, make sure that you are allocating in a calendar. I know it's annoying, but it's gonna pay off. You gotta schedule your workout. You gotta schedule, your meal prep. You gotta schedule your times, that you're plugging into calls. You have to plug in there your hours that you are not available for Beachbody, which are when you're working. If you take an hour lunch instead of, going outside and spending an hour outside, maybe what you want to do is bring your lunch, go to a conference room, find a conference room, and, work your business for half an hour. So that way you only have to work half hour later, at night. So that this way, when you go home, it's all about your family, so that they're not resentful, so that they're not mad at you or Beachbody because you're not, paying attention to them. And then once they're asleep, then you can hit Beachbody again. So you have to really do this for maybe 2 years, 3 years. Is it a big sacrifice? Yes, because you have to schedule everything, and you even have to schedule, I don't know, date night in there, whatever, to make you stay organized, to make you stay, on top of your game. And what you need to understand is that because you are scheduling everything, everything is going to get done. And also trying to figure out those pockets of opportunity, like I said, so that you can maybe do PD during that time. So like if you're folding laundry, listen to an audio. When you are, what I do in the morning is, if I'm brushing my teeth, I'm listening to audio, because I have to work around his schedule, even, and then also when I have calls, or, like tonight, or I have calls with a prospect, I let them know. They know who I am. They follow me on social media. They know I have a 2-year-old. So I tell them, my baby's sleeping. He's down for a nap. He might wake up. So just, if he wakes up, then they're aware, and they work with me. They know I'm a mom. You guys know how it is. And I still, go through with my phone calls. So I think it's just a matter of finding out what works. But start with an hour. And then if that works for like a week or two, then, add another hour or add half an hour. So don't say, I'm going to work Beachbody 10 hours today, every day, when that's not possible. But start incrementing, increasing those increments of, by half hour to see what works for you.
Right. So I guess be flexible also helps.
Right.
Okay. So let's say 2 more questions, rapid fire, because I know you got to go.
Go ahead. I told her 15, 20 minutes. She's good.
Oh, wow. Okay, fantastic.
She's fine.
So take your time. How do you take it, or how do you not take it personally if you do, when you get a lot of no's and makes you question whether or not this is going to work?
Mm-hmm. Well, I did at first.
Right.
We're human. We have feelings. So, I was thinking geez, I know you need help. Just do it with me. But I think it's the personal development helps, because it's not about you. It's really not, just really, really seriously realizing that it's when they're ready. So it's their readiness matters in their answer. So if you're doing everything that you are supposed to be doing, so working on your 3 vital behaviors consistently, and I'm not saying half-assing them, that you're working on them, and then you're following up and you're posting on social media, and you're doing everything that you should be doing, you're plugging in, and they're still saying no, then now what I've done, because I did this with one of my coaches, then if you're doing all of that, because I knew she was, I look over their pages to make sure they're posting appropriately. Now, if I know that you worked out and I know that you're doing PD, because you're checking in and telling me your aha moment, then there has to be something. There's a disconnect in there, and we got to find it. So what I have done is, I said, well, let's call your prospect together and see maybe how you're inviting. Right. And I also provide what works for me. So I give them my private messages. This is what I do. And, when I'm inviting in private messages, this is what I'm posting on social media when I do a call to action. This is works for me. But also getting on the phone with them and saying, I'm going to do one call for you. You listen, you take notes. And then the next call, you're going to do it. And I'm going to listen and give you feedback. And I've done that. And, and then there's been areas of improvement, because we don't naturally know how to invite people. You just have to continue to work on that by practicing, by doing it, and by, listening to others when they share what works. So I think that don't take it personal for sure, because it's not about you. If you're doing everything correctly, if you're, doing all your, like I mentioned, your 3 vital behaviors, and knowing that if you're doing all of that, they're going to come back. A lot of people tell you that they come back, and I promise you they do. When I started seeing that happen for myself, I was like, holy crap, they do come back, on their own. I'm talking about people who totally said to me, I don't believe in Beachbody, or people who straight up ignore me on their own, contact me and say, hey, Gab, I've been following you. And trust me, they follow you. So if you are being negative on social media, if you are being, if you're just posting things that are not conducive to a Beachbody coach, they're gonna get confused. So you want to be consistent with what you want people to know about you, and they want to trust you. So some people are not gonna just say yes right away. They want to know who you are. They want to know that you're real. They want to know that that you're trustworthy. So make sure that that's what you're portraying on your pages. So yes, I hope I answered that question.
Sounds like you did. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
So how do you approach a coach who is stuck in their business?
Okay.
Just can't seem to gain any traction.
Listen, I think that one is, that can be a little hard to answer, because I think that not everyone is at the same level when they start. How many top coaches have you heard share their stories and say, I didn't do anything for a year, or I didn't really start working my business after, until like 2 years later, whatever. So you have to, and I had to learn that, as I said, the hard way. And I'm going to be real here. Like I said earlier, I'm passionate. I see the potential in this business, and I also see the potential in each of my coaches. And I know that they all have killer stories. Their whys are amazing. And so, I see what they're capable of doing, but sometimes they're not there yet. They haven't seen it yet. And so we have to be careful with that, because what we're going to do is, instead of pulling them to work the business, we're going to push them away. So working at their pace, finding out what they want out of this opportunity, and helping them achieve those goals. So if it's someone who says, hey, I just want the discount, respect that. If it's someone who says, I just want to maybe hit Success Club 5, then ask them, how do you want me to help you? Do you want me to, check in on you weekly? Or you got to hit it and you good to go? Because there's coaches like that. My sister, for example, she knows her hitting Success Club is a non-negotiable. I don't need to check in on her. She knows. If I check in, she gets annoyed. So you got to know, what works. So personalities are important, and really, really respecting those. And that was hard for me. Not that I didn't respect their personalities, but because I saw the potential, I wanted to just be like, but you can do it, but you got to respect that. And just working through that, speaking to each person individually and learning what they want out of this business, and how that's going to, it's not about your goals, but theirs.
Right. So a similar question, but dealing with challengers. How do you kind of approach a challenger who is not sticking to the program, or is having trouble sticking to the program, or maybe isn't getting the kind of results they really want?
Yep. I'm hardcore. A lot of my challengers, I should say, know that about me. I have two groups. One of them is an active group, depending on the program. And in there, I tell them from day one, the requirements. You have to post, you have to do this, that, so they know. And, they have to post daily. And if they're not doing that, I know life happens, so I contact them on the side. I either call them or private message them or text them and find out what's going on in their life. Because we have to be, we have to be careful, because we don't know what happens, right, in people's lives on a daily basis unless they share it with us. So we have to be careful with that. So I reach out to find out that everything is fine. Sometimes people go on vacation, they forget to tell you. But basically working with what they need and reminding them, hey, you told me that you wanted to, be healthy for your kids and, be 25 pounds lighter or whatever. And making sure that they remember what their why is. But listen, sometimes people just need a little nudge and they're like, you're right, Gab. And they get back on. But sometimes they don't. They're just not, they thought they were ready, but they weren't. And so I put them in my other group where I constantly give them motivation and support. but they are not required to post. But they still see me. They still have access to me. If they have questions, they know they can, reach me. Because what I don't want is to lose a connection with someone. I want them to know that I'm always here regardless. So, I have a heavy duty group that you got to post, and then I have another one that's more lenient, that if you want to post, awesome. And if you don't, then you don't, but they can, come back to my posting group if they wanted to. So
Well, thank you so much, Gabby. I mean, all these tips they're all gold, and I'm sure everybody on the call is gonna go back and listen to it again and take notes, because they've got to implement every single one of these. Because I know I learned a lot, so I just want to thank you again for being on the call. It was truly amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope I was helpful. Like I said, I'm a mess. Seriously, I am humbled by the opportunity to come here and talk about what works for me, because I don't think I'm special. I think that I just implement things that I know are going to work, and just try it. If it doesn't work, change it up. But definitely reach out to Al. He's here to support you. And listen, I know that there's a lot of mommies here. If you need help with figuring out things, because I can connect with you on a different level, I'm more than happy for you guys to reach out. You guys can private message me, and we can schedule some time to talk. I'm available. So I just want you guys to know that this works. Just make it work. It really does.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. Thanks, Al, for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great night, and enjoy the rest of your calls. I know you're busy, so make it happen.
All right.
That was an amazing call. I just want to say that was so awesome.
Thank you. Who's that, Nicole?
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole. I hope it helped.
It really, really did. Thank you so much for everything you shared. I took notes.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you, Gabby.
All right.
Good night.
Thank
Bye.
you.